Hello, I'm Will, and this is Will to Read. Today I'm going to be doing a review of Darkly, Black History and America's Gothic Soul by Leila Taylor. The reason why there is a bookmark in this currently is because one of my roommates is currently in the middle of it, and I had to confiscate my copy from her in order to film this review. Anyway, so I didn't know much about this book going into it outside of just the blurb on the back. I didn't really know anything about Leila Taylor before this. I think this is her only book. I did know some things about the publisher, Repeater Books. I believe they're a British publishing house. They publish a lot of academic or academic adjacent work having to do with horror, supernatural, Gothic literature, things like that. I think they published a few books by Mark Fisher, I think is probably what they're best known for. But yeah, so that's really all the context I had going into it. With that, yeah, let's get to the summary. Haunted houses. Bitter revenants and muffled heartbeats under floorboards. The American Gothic is a macabre tale based on a true story. Part memoir and part cultural critique, Darkly reveals the heart of America's darkness and the specters left from chattel slavery and the persistence of white supremacy, locating the Gothic in technologies of terror, the insurgency of melancholy, and the guilty conscience of a country that got away with murder. Darkly shows how this trauma has been metabolized into art, music, film, and literature. America's story is founded in horror, with a culture shaped from the Black experience, proving that you can't get more Gothic than Black. Yes, I don't really have much to add to that. They do a pretty good job covering all the bases in the back blurb. Yeah, it's partially a memoir about her experience as a Black person in the United States, particularly her experience as a Black person in the goth community. And so it also discusses a lot about like goth music, goth fashion, goth culture. It also discusses a lot about like Gothic literature and various horror films and horror tropes. It also, in addition to obviously discussing the history of Black people in the United States and kind of interconnecting all of these things together and showing the common themes between them. So I was originally going to do this like deep dive into the different historical themes and philosophical ideas presented in this book, but then I realized, I don't think I'm really the person to do that, because, well, I'm a white person, as a white person. I don't, and I think Leela does a very good job of presenting these ideas in a very accessible fashion. And, not to give away my end thoughts, but you should read this. Just read it. Yeah, so with that, I'm just going to go straight to end thoughts. So I ended up giving this book 5 stars on Goodreads to give you an idea of how much I liked it. It's really well written. It flows amazingly well for a nonfiction book. It flows basically like a really well-written fiction book, essentially. It's very easy to get through, and I think especially if you want to learn about any of the subjects covered in this through kind of the lens of something like horror or goth culture or anything like that, I think this is a great introduction and a very accessible introduction. And, to testament to that, I read it in a week. I mean, it's relatively short, but again, for me, that's pretty solid for this. I don't really have much else to say except just read it. Read it! That was my review of Darkly by Leila Taylor. Next, as of recording, I am about 50 pages from finishing The Burning, and that will probably be my next review because I have some thoughts. But yeah, other than that, like, subscribe, comment, do all that fun stuff, and see you next time.